highway, we're good. That tiny, like, fraction of a bit of wheel gap we have in the back is fine on the highway. But hitting bumps, and we got a lot of construction around here, I'm definitely bottoming out and hitting my fender. I've got some rub. So, verdict is lift it up a centimeter to start, like, you know, half an inch, and preload the spring so it's stiffer.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. So that won't be this video, but next time. Cheers. All right, so I didn't wait. So what I did now is the rear end was rubbing. Can't really see, but we could hear it. And so I gave myself 1 more centimeter of lift. And then to accompany that, compressed my preload 1 more centimeter on the spring. And so we'll do both the same. So we'll have a little bit more gap to play with. Should have like a finger width over my tire. And stiffer spring should keep me from slamming into my fender and having wheel rub on it. All right, so adjustment's done. Stiffened the spring by 1 centimeter in the rear. Lowered my ride height, or should say raised my ride height 1 centimeter. And what I'm finding is, as I'm trying to compress and do more preload on the spring actually doesn't have any left, so it's pretty torqued out. So we're gonna take it for a spin and just see if it settles a little bit. But I think it's gonna drive a lot better than being flat out and having no room and rubbing the fender. If you haven't noticed, this is probably a second video. Anyhow, car life, right? You gotta just keep playing with it and keep tuning and working on all those things. So you've seen me work a lot on my rebound just to get that level of stability down that I want. So today, and you know, probably the last video that you watched, have been all about preloading that spring and seeing how much travel and, you know, how much stiffness I have in the spring, but also getting the balance and the right ride height. So I'm pretty balanced front and back right now, which I think will be sweet. And, you know, just my first setting in the last video, I was leaning pretty far back. Like, we had less than a finger width of gap. You know, low life is cool, but not if you're ripping your fenders off. So gonna go for a test drive now and see how this feels. And I actually think it's gonna be great. So let's check it out. Right away, it's funny how, you know, 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters on the length of the whole car, I can feel it. You know, I'm like a seat in my pants guy. I can feel that the back is higher than it was before. But it feels like I've got more contact on the front. So maybe I needed that balance. Maybe I was leaning back a little bit before. And the power down off the rear wheel seems a little bit more immediate. So good for a start. We're gonna go for a burn on the highway. Check this out. Pretty sweet. I don't know if you could catch that, but just on the freeway, hitting some pretty big bumps over the bridge. You know, that's crests of the bridge when you change from asphalt to cement. And pretty smooth, actually. Pretty fast ride. Usually I'm getting a pretty harsh bump because I was riding so low. I didn't have any travel left in my shock. Like, there's a big bump, and I can just feel my suspension is doing the work now instead of the seat of my pants. So I think this is gonna be sweet. I'm gonna leave it, do a couple burns out on the highway, runs to work, and I think we're in good shape. Can you hear that? I just put my tools in the trunk instead of taking them all back to the house, so it's a little rattly back there. All right, so round 2, TEINS suspension adjustment video, I think is a success. We'll hit some hard corners here, and pretty sweet, loving it. So get to work. You know, sometimes it's like labor of love. We probably put about 3 or 4 hours into adjusting balance, adjusting ride height, you know, getting back in and adjusting the preload and then adjusting the ride height again. And I think we nailed it. So this is pretty sweet.